every moment bicycling is living, whereas every moment in a car is waiting to live. It's being in a box that's going to take you somewhere where you can start living life. Where when you're walking or bicycling, you're living. The greenways, they're somewhat better than other streets for safety, somewhat. Yeah, I mean, they're not what they could be. Not when you hear the word greenway, I don't think they live up to that. But yeah, I probably would, if I see one or know of one on my route, I would probably take it, sure. Those green signs that the city has up, those are pretty good to find your way around. But Google Maps, which I do use a lot, is not very good. You know, they have a bike mode on there, but I've noticed, and I use it if I'm going somewhere that I don't know how to get there, but I've noticed that anytime I am familiar with it, I almost never take the way. If I look at their route, I almost always would say, no, I'm not going to go that way. So I think theirs is not really very practical for bicyclists. Another thing is to ride with other people. I think it feels much safer, and I know if you just feel like going to the store or something, you're not ready to go there, then you might say, well, then I'm not going to bicycle. Well, then okay, so maybe go bicycling on weekends when you have a friend who you can call and say, let's get together for a ride. I think it always feels better. And there's an event, a series of events called Pedalpalooza coming up. Do you know about that? It's going to be 3 months again this year. Yeah, 1 year at the beginning of the pandemic, we skipped it, so then they made it 3 months when we resumed it, and it's been there. I think this will be the third year that it's 3 months instead of 1. So all of June, July, and August, there are big group rides, and those feel very safe. I mean, even if you're on big streets, people will cork. Even some of the bicyclists will stop the cars from coming through while you're there, and you're in a big group. So that is just a wonderful way to ride around the city. Get rid of the cars.
Get rid of the cars.
Yeah, I mean, they have some little blockades in certain places to cars, but they need to restrict it. I know then people are going to cry, well, I live on that street. Well, okay, so if you live on that street, maybe we'll have to figure out a way that you can, I don't know if that could be automated. I don't want to see like a cop there checking IDs for anyone who wants to try to drive onto the street. But there might be automated ways to do that, where only people who live or who their destination is. Yeah, I mean, obviously if you don't live here but this is your destination is the street and you're traveling by car, I guess okay. A lot of people seem to think that it has gotten worse in the last couple years, and I think actually crash statistics bear that out. I think there have been more serious injuries and deaths due to traffic crashes, I believe, but also I think the feeling, even if without that, I do think a lot of people say that it's worse, just the feeling that people are more lawless now for various reasons. Part of it is that our police force is basically on strike and they don't enforce a lot of things at all, you know, if you call them. I mean, if someone gets hit and killed by a car, they'll come out and take a report, but most things they won't. If you just report even minor traffic crashes, or certainly if you just say somebody's speeding down the street, I don't think a cop is going to come and do anything. So I think motorists are aware of that they can basically get away with more stuff. Also, it got much better at the beginning of the pandemic when people weren't driving as much. It was so much nicer. I think that's part of why everyone thinks it's worse now, because for a while there were fewer cars on the road and it was so much nicer to walk or bicycle around. I mean, there was less noise. You could actually hear your own footsteps if you were taking a walk. It was an amazing thing for a while.